Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So today we're trying something a little bit new, and I definitely want to get your feedback on it. So I thought it would be neat to do some flashback deck techs. So these are decks that aren't necessarily playable now for a variety of reasons, but have an important place in Magic's past. So you'll have to let me know. The downside of these deck tags is we can't just jump into a queue and play them. Either because they're no longer legal, they have rotated, all kinds of things like that. The upside is you get to see some really cool decks from the past that had a big impact on the game of Magic. So make sure, even more so than the normal deck tags, leave me some feedback in the comments. Let me know if you like this. If it goes over well and people enjoy these, I think we might do like Flashback Fridays or something for instant deck tags and make this a reoccurring part of the Instant Deck Tech series. On the other hand, if you hate them all and would rather see another standard deck or something like that, let me know that too. I'm just trying this out. So for our first Flashback Friday Instant Deck Tech, we are heading to Modern in 2011 at Pro Tour Philadelphia to check out a mono blue Infect deck that took Sam Black very close to winning the entire thing, took him into the top 8, and this deck is super insane. So, Mono Blue Infect, you only have 4 actual creatures in Blighted Agent. You also have 4 Inkmoth Nexus, so you have 8 Infect creatures. These are how you win the game. You gotta have Blighted Agent or Inkmoth Nexus. You're pretty much all in on that plan. As a result, you're playing 4 Muddled Mixtures, which can transmute for 3 mana for Blighted Agent, and a couple Teleria West, which you can transmute to get an Inkmoth Nexus. So that's kind of plan A in the deck, is you find an Infect creature. And then plan B in the deck is Blazing Shoal. So Blazing Shoal is a ridiculous card. It is now banned in Modern because of this deck, actually, and how insane this deck was. So it's double red and X, and target creature gets +X+0 until end of turn, but this weird alternative casting cost where you can exile a red card from your hand with converted mana cost of X rather than play Blazing Shoal's mana cost. You can also transmute for Blazing Shoal, so you can kind of get both halves of your combo with the Muddle the Mixture. So that's what makes Muddle so great in this deck. It can get the Bladed Agent or the Blazing Shoal. So this deck sticks an Infect creature, finds its Blazing Shoal, and then it exiles a card that just wins the game on the spot. So Blighted Agent and Inkmoth Nexus are both 1 power Infect creatures, but if you exile a Progenitus, converted mana cost of 10, or a Dragonstorm, converted mana cost of 9, you pump your Blighted Agent or Inkmoth Nexus all the way up to 10 or 11 power, enough that you deal a lethal amount of Infect damage all in one shot. You also have the Summoner's Pact, which transmutes to find the Progenitus, and you don't really care about the pay at the beginning of your upkeep. You don't have any green mana, because you're going to win the game right there when you exile that Progenitus to the Blazing Shoal. So this deck can win on turn 2 without needing a ton of pieces. I mean, all you really need is turn 1 Inkmoth Nexus, turn 2 activate Inkmoth Nexus, attack, Blazing Shoal, exiling either Dragonstorm or Progenitus, game over. Plus, you have tons of ways to find all these pieces if you're not actually going to win on turn 1, or turn 2, I mean. You can win on turn 3 or turn 4 really consistently, because this is the old days of Modern, when you had Ponder and Preordain legal, so you had some legacy level cantrips available in the format, along with Peer Through Depths that lets you dig 5 deep for an instant or sorcery to find your Blazing Shoal, and Gitaxian Probe not only cycles, but lets you see if the coast is clear to kind of combo off. The deck also has a single snapback in the main deck, so one of the problems with Mono Blue Infect, just like normal Infect that goes on today, is Spellskite is a beating. If your opponent plays a Spellskite, you can't really do much about it. If you exile your card to Blazing Shoal, targeting your Inkmoth, your opponent's just going to pay 2 life and steal that, and your whole plan fizzles. Well, Snapback is a free way to bounce a Spellskite. You just exile a blue card from your hand, bounce a Spellskite, boom, you combo off. You can still win on turn 2, even if you're on the draw and your opponent plays a Spellskite on their turn 2. And then the deck has some ways to protect itself, so you can not only win on turn 2 relatively consistently, but you can do it with Pact of Negation or Disrupting Shoal backup, both free counter spells, and Pact of Negation can be tutored for by your Tolarian West if the game goes long. So this deck is just super... It's just awesome. The deck is so good. It is obviously no longer legal. Disrupting Shoal is banned, Ponder is banned, Preordain is banned. So you can't really build Infect like this anymore. You have to build the more current versions with green mana and pump spells, and those ones can still win on turn 2, but not the way this deck could. This deck was the Infect combo deck of its time, and it was super powerful. Mana base wise, apart from the lands we already talked about, the Inkmoths and the Tolarian West, we got Scalding Tarns, Islands, and Watery Graves. In the sideboard, we got 4 Spellskites, Jace Bellerin, and Vendilion Click. Let the deck kind of sideboard into a more control-y, go-long strategy. Obviously, you're not going to be a control deck, but a more resilient, like, win on turn 5, turn 4 type of deck for some matchups, rather than going all in on the combo on turn 2. Echoing Truth, Starterpack, and Dismember, all different answers to the Spellskite. And then a couple weird counters. Deprives. Interesting that in the early days of Modern, this was the choice. I'm guessing that it is because the pick up your Inkmoth Nexus plan is relevant. If you attack with Inkmoth, your opponent goes to Lightning Bolt it. You could, if you wanted to, deprive and pick up your Inkmoth Nexus as part of the cost. If you're worried that your opponent has a second bolt, or if you saw a second bolt in your opponent's hand from a Gitaxian Probe or something. And then one Trick Bind, a card that hasn't really caught on in Modern. Anyway, that is Mono Blue Infect from Pro Tour Philadelphia in 2011 in the Modern format. As I said before, deck is super insane, really good at winning on turn 2, really unique. Unfortunately, we can't play it because a lot of the pieces are banned. That's how good this deck was. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our first Flashback Friday instant deck tech. Like I said in the intro, let me know in the comments if you like seeing these old decks, if you find it exciting to look at some of these historical decks that have such a major place in the history of Magic. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. We'll play it by ear. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.